Spring is a wild weather season in Minnesota. You know that. All you have to do is think about the last week. Intense but isolated storms have pummeled some areas with hail and lots of rain, while others just didn't get anything. So have you ever stopped to ask how we find out those totals to the 10th of an inch? Well, it comes down to volunteers, and as Kent explains tonight, they're looking for more.
Just gonna pour some in.
You don't need to be a weather whiz
We would take this out.
to understand how a rain gauge works.
0.74 inches.
And if you can read the results,
You do want to measure it at the same time every day.
state climatologist Luigi Romolo says you have what it takes to join a critical team with a cool name.
Now, how do you say it?
Coco Roz?
CocoRoz. What
It's
is that? What does CocoRoz stand for?
Sure, it's a very unusual acronym. It stands for the Community Collaborative Rain, Hail, and Snow Network.
Now I know why they use an acronym.
Correct.
CocoRoz is a nationwide network of 20,000 volunteers who help track rainfall, snow depth, and hail size in their own backyards. No high-tech tools
Styrofoam
required.
with tinfoil. You get a pretty good indication of the actual hail size.
It seems like kind of an old school concept in this era of AI, getting weather on your phone or anywhere. But why is this important?
So we have a lot of gaps where we don't have measurements for rainfall. In fact, we only have about 200 to 250 National Weather Service stations across the state.
At a time when federal funding has been cut, while our climate has grown more extreme,
This is critical for things like insurance claims.
the impact of every additional hail pad and rain gauge really adds up.
Just the other day, we had 900 people report rainfall here in the state of Minnesota. So that over tripled the amount of coverage that we would normally get.
And human observers are even more critical when it comes to drought monitoring.
They can tell us if the grass is crunchy or if the trees are wilting. That gives us invaluable information about drought.
Minnesota already has about 2,200 CocoRoz monitors, but if you're interested in joining the team, now is the perfect time.
It's called the Rain Gauge Rally. The state that signs up the most volunteers wins what's called the CocoRoz Cup. Like if you think of the Stanley Cup, it's got like a base and a silver rain gauge on it, and we've won it 6 years in a row. And so we're hoping for lucky number 7.
Are you kidding me? We won the cup in Minnesota?
Yeah.
6 years in a row?
So we've won a World Series. We can't seem to win a Stanley Cup or a Super Bowl, but we've won the CocoRoz Cup 6 times.
And with less than a week left in this year's competition, a quick look at the leaderboard shows number 7 is virtually in the bag.
Go us.
Yeah, Minnesota is the champion in citizen science for sure.
The champion in citizen science. You gotta love that. And it's easy to become a CocoRoz monitor. The only required equipment is a standard 4-inch rain gauge like you saw in his backyard, which you will have to buy though. Otherwise, you just download a free app, and that's where you can watch tutorials on how to track everything. It's also where you can enter updates. Ideally, they're looking for totals every day, even if that means entering 0, which would be today. Jana.
I mean, there's so many places to go with this. Like, first of all, that trophy needs an upgrade, but I like it.
Yes, a
I
little
like
chrome,
it.
a little
Right?
chrome.
And I mean, we always talk about public service, right? There's so many things that people can do. And I can think of 20 people off the top of my head that thinks this is pretty cool.
Yeah, and Luigi said that a lot of teachers have actually started doing this. And
That
it's
makes
okay
sense.
if they miss the weekends, but it's a great way to get students involved tracking this, and it's actually valuable science.
Yeah, my kid would be all about that. All right, thanks, Kent. Great story.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.